Welcome back to Echoes of Ihsan, where we just kind of jump into these fascinating sources and pull out the most insightful nuggets for you.
Always a good time.
Today, we're cracking open Sahih al-Bukhari,
Yeah.
specifically Book 56,
Nice.
Virtues and Merits of the Prophet.
Yeah, it's like getting a backstage pass
Well,
to the early days of Islam.
it really is. This book is structured as a collection of hadiths, which are essentially first-hand accounts of the Prophet Muhammad's sayings and actions. They're like windows into his life,
I like that.
his teachings,
Yeah.
and the development of the Muslim community.
Okay, so we're talking about going way back in time.
Okay.
Hearing these stories from the people who actually knew the Prophet.
Right.
I feel like we're about to uncover some seriously valuable insights.
For sure.
Where should we even begin with all this?
Well, one of the first things that jumps out from this book is the relationship between Muslims and the people of the book, which refers to Jews and Christians.
The text doesn't shy away from highlighting key differences in practices,
Okay.
setting clear boundaries.
Got it. So right off the bat, there's this emphasis on establishing a distinct identity for Muslims,
Right.
even while acknowledging the existence of other faiths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A prime example is the Hadith, where the Prophet cautions against building places of worship at graves.
Okay.
This practice was observed in some Jewish and Christian communities at the time, but the Prophet was drawing a clear line,
Okay.
emphasizing the Islamic principle of directing worship solely to God.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about maintaining the purity of worship,
Sure.
ensuring that reverence is directed only towards the divine,
Right.
not towards individuals, no matter how respected they might be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this distinction extends to leadership as well.
Okay.
The concept of caliphs succeeding the prophet is another point of departure from the Israelite tradition of prophets.
Gotcha.
In Islam, after the Prophet Muhammad leadership, transitioned to caliphs.
Who were chosen leaders from the community,
Okay.
not divinely appointed prophets like in the Israelite tradition.
So it's not a direct lineage of prophets in Islam.
Correct.
The caliphs are chosen based on their merits and the consensus of the community, marking a shift in how leadership is understood.
Now, this doesn't mean Muslims existed in complete isolation from the people of the book.
Right.
There's this incredibly thought-provoking hadith that talks about how Muslims would follow in the footsteps of previous nations,
Okay.
even in their errors.
Whoa. Okay. That's kind of a heavy statement.
Yeah,
It's not just about blindly following in their footsteps, right?
exactly. It's less about imitation and more about critical thinking and learning from history.
Okay.
It's a warning to pay attention to what happened in the past,
Right.
both the good and the bad,
Yeah.
so we can make better choices in the present.
So it's almost like this hadith is urging us to learn from the mistakes of others.
Exactly.
So we don't have to repeat them ourselves.
Right, yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
And the text even goes on to give specific examples of things the prophet discouraged
Okay.
because they resembled practices of other faiths.
Okay.
For instance, he advised against using bells for prayer announcements,
Got it.
keeping hands on flanks while praying,
Okay.
and even dyeing gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
These were all common practices in other communities.
Yeah.
And the prophet sought to establish distinct practices for Muslims.
It seems like there's a strong emphasis on clear boundaries between faiths,
Right.
ensuring that Islamic practices remain unique and true to their core principles.
Exactly.
It's not about rejecting other faiths outright, but rather about preserving the integrity of Islam.
Precisely. It's about maintaining the purity and clarity of each faith's teachings and practices.
Yeah.
There's also another really interesting analogy in this book,
Okay.
a parable about laborers working for a karat,
Okay.
which was a unit of currency back then.
I see.
Muslims are compared to those who work the hardest but receive a double reward, which leads to jealousy from others who didn't put in as much effort.
Oh, wow. This parable really resonates with me.
Yeah.
I think about how often I get caught up comparing myself to others,
Right.
especially when it comes to faith and spirituality.
Yeah.
It's like this constant struggle to measure up.
It is a common human tendency, but this parable serves as a reminder to focus on our own efforts
Right.
and trust that Allah rewards sincerity and dedication.
Right.
Comparing ourselves to others only leads to unnecessary anxiety and resentment.
So it's not about the outward appearance of piety or trying to outdo others,
Right.
but rather about the inner commitment and effort we put into our own spiritual growth.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about staying true to our own path, even when others question or criticize our choices.
Okay.
It's about trusting in the ultimate reward that comes from sincere dedication to Allah, regardless of what anyone else thinks or does. Yeah. You know, it's interesting how this first theme, with its focus on distinctions and boundaries, kind of sets the stage for what comes next.
Okay.
Book 56 doesn't just lay out rules and differences.
Right.
It also dives into the very heart of Islam,
Okay.
the boundless mercy and forgiveness of Allah.
Okay, that shift makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like after establishing the framework of faith,
Right.
the text then explores the more intimate, personal aspects of the relationship with the divine.
Exactly. And these stories of mercy and forgiveness are truly captivating.
Okay.
One that really stands out is about a man so consumed by fear of Allah's punishment
Okay.
that he went to extreme lengths.
Oh, wait.
He actually made his family promise to burn his body after death
Oh, my
and
goodness.
scatter the ashes in the sea,
Wow.
thinking it would erase all traces of his sins and somehow lessen his accountability in the afterlife.
Wow, that's intense. I can't even imagine the level of fear and desperation that must have driven him to such measures.
Yeah.
It's both fascinating and kind of heartbreaking at the same time.
It really is.
Yeah.
But here's the twist. Despite this man's drastic attempts to evade divine judgment,
Okay.
Allah resurrected him
Wow.
and questioned him about his actions.
Oh, wow.
And when the man simply replied, "For fear of you," Allah,
Right.
in his infinite mercy, forgave him.
That's powerful. It's like this story throws wide open the doors of hope and reminds us that even when we feel lost and burdened by our mistakes,
Yeah,
sincere repentance can pave the way to redemption.
sure.
It really speaks to the depth of Allah's compassion and willingness to forgive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that even when we make mistakes, even when we stray far from the path,
Right.
Allah's mercy is always there waiting for us to turn back to him.
Great.
And it's not just about grand acts of repentance either.
Yeah.
There's another amazing story, almost like a parable,
Okay.
about 3 men trapped in a cave.
Okay.
Each of them prayed for deliverance by recalling a seemingly small good deed they had done in the past,
All right.
purely for the sake of Allah.
This reminds me of that saying, do good and throw it in the sea. It's about those acts of kindness and generosity that we perform without expecting anything in return,
Yeah.
solely for the pleasure of Allah.
Exactly. And those sincere actions performed without any desire for worldly gain or recognition became their means of salvation.
Wow.
The cave miraculously opened,
Okay.
and they were freed, highlighting the incredible impact that even seemingly insignificant actions can have when done with pure intentions.
It makes you think about all those little acts of kindness we might dismiss as unimportant.
Right.
Like maybe holding a door open for someone or offering a kind word to a stranger.
Yeah.
If done with sincerity, those acts can carry so much weight in the eyes of Allah.
Absolutely.
It's a really beautiful concept.
It is.
Yeah.
And these stories beautifully illustrate how our past doesn't have to define us.
Right.
What truly matters is the state of our hearts and our willingness to turn back to Allah, seeking his forgiveness and striving to do good.
Okay.
This theme of mercy isn't just limited to human actions either. There's a very thought-provoking hadith about a woman who was punished for imprisoning a cat and neglecting its needs until it died.
That's interesting. So the concept of mercy and compassion extends beyond human interactions and encompasses our treatment of all living beings.
Right.
It's about recognizing the inherent value and dignity of all creatures.
Exactly. It's a reminder that our responsibility to show compassion and kindness extends to all of Allah's creation, not just to our fellow human beings.
Makes sense.
And on the flip side, there's this incredibly moving story about a prostitute who, despite her societal standing and past actions, showed a simple act of kindness to a thirsty dog.
Oh, wow.
She took off her shoe and used it to give the dog water.
Wow.
And because of this selfless act, she was forgiven by Allah.
That's incredible. It really emphasizes how our actions, no matter how big or small, can have profound consequences.
Yeah.
It's not about our past mistakes or the labels society might put on us, but rather about the genuineness of our hearts and our willingness to extend kindness to others.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the shared humanity, the shared vulnerability in all beings, regardless of their circumstances or past choices.
Yeah.
These stories paint such a vivid picture of Allah's all-encompassing mercy
Right.
and provide valuable lessons about the nature of repentance and forgiveness.
It's like this theme takes us on an emotional roller coaster, from fear and desperation to hope and redemption, all the while emphasizing the unwavering, boundless nature of Allah's mercy.
Right.
It really is inspiring.
It is.
Yeah.
These stories are like echoes of Ihsan,
Yeah.
reminding us of Allah's infinite capacity to love and forgive,
Right.
encouraging us to approach life with compassion and striving to embody that same spirit of mercy in our interactions with others.
Okay, I'm ready for a change of pace.
Mm.
We've covered a lot of ground, from establishing boundaries to exploring the depths of Allah's mercy.
Yeah.
What else does Book 56 have in store for us?
Well, prepare to be amazed, because this next theme takes us into the realm of the extraordinary miracles. The miracles and prophecies associated with the Prophet Muhammad. These stories offer glimpses into events that defy ordinary explanation, reminding us of the power and mystery woven into the fabric of faith.
All right, let's dive into those mystical waters. I've always been fascinated by these accounts, these moments where the impossible becomes possible.
Right.
They really challenge our understanding of what we think we know about the world.
One of the most captivating stories recounts how the Prophet miraculously provided water for his thirsty companions from a seemingly ordinary pot.
Oh, wow.
They were in the midst of a journey, parched and desperate for water.
Right.
And the Prophet, through his supplication to Allah, caused the pot to overflow with enough water to quench everyone's thirst.
Wow.
And even more.
You know, that story always makes me think about those moments in life when we feel like we're running on empty,
Right.
facing impossible odds.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that even in times of scarcity, even when all hope seems lost,
Yeah.
with sincere faith and trust in Allah,
Right.
seemingly impossible things can happen.
Absolutely. It speaks to the limitless power of Allah and the profound connection the Prophet had with the divine.
Right.
His supplications carried such weight that even the physical world responded, bending to the will of Allah.
Wow.
Another remarkable story involves Jabir's father, who was burdened with a heavy debt.
Okay.
He was desperate, worried about the well-being of his family, and turned to the Prophet for help.
Right.
The Prophet, moved by his plight, made a sincere prayer to Allah, and miraculously the debt was settled.
These stories really highlight the power of prayer and the importance of seeking Allah's help in times of need.
Absolutely.
They're also a testament to the Prophet's spiritual station, his closeness to Allah, and the incredible efficacy of his supplications.
Yes.
It's like a reminder that we're never truly alone, that through sincere prayer we can tap into a source of strength and support that can carry us through even the most difficult challenges.
It's about recognizing that even amidst our worldly struggles, there's a higher power at work, a divine plan unfolding. And through prayer, we align ourselves with that plan, seeking guidance and assistance from the one who holds all things in his hands.
Wow.
And the miracles weren't just confined to personal matters or individual needs. There's a hadith that describes how the Prophet invoked rain for the people of Medina, who were suffering from a severe drought.
Right.
And then when the rain became excessive, threatening to cause flooding and damage,
Oh, wow.
he prayed again, diverting the rain clouds and restoring balance.
That's amazing. It speaks to this deep connection between the spiritual and physical realms.
Right.
This recognition that even the elements respond to spiritual authority, particularly that of the Prophet. It's
Yeah.
like a glimpse into the interconnectedness of all things, this delicate balance
Yeah.
that exists between the seen and the unseen.
Exactly. It highlights this harmonious relationship between humanity and the natural world, where even the forces of nature align themselves with the divine will, particularly when invoked by someone as spiritually attuned as the Prophet.
And then there's this incredibly touching story, almost poetic in its imagery, about a date palm trunk
Yeah.
that the Prophet used to lean on while delivering his sermons.
Right.
When he eventually stopped using it, choosing to deliver his sermons from a pulpit, instead the trunk is said to have cried out as if mourning his absence.
Wow.
That story always gets to me. It speaks to the profound impact the Prophet had on everyone and everything around him.
Yeah.
Like, even inanimate objects felt the weight of his presence, the spiritual energy that emanated from him. It's just so beautiful and moving.
It is. It's a reminder that true spiritual influence transcends the boundaries of language or even conscious awareness. It's a subtle but powerful energy that resonates on a deeper level, leaving a lasting impression on both people and their surroundings.
Okay, so we've explored these incredible miracles, these moments where the laws of nature seem to bend to the will of Allah. What about the prophecies? What glimpses into the future does Book 56 offer?
Well, there's a particularly striking hadith where the Prophet predicts the widespread acceptance of Islam.
Okay.
Envisioning a time when a woman could safely travel alone from Hira to Mecca, fearing only Allah,
Wow.
It speaks to a future where Islam's message of peace and justice would permeate society to such an extent that even a solitary woman, often seen as vulnerable, could traverse vast distances without fear of harm or persecution.
It paints this beautiful picture of a future where faith transcends physical barriers, where spiritual unity creates a sense of safety and security that extends even to the most vulnerable members of society.
Right.
It's a powerful image of hope and transformation.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the transformative power of faith, its ability to reshape societies and create conditions where peace and justice prevail. And this prophecy also points to the universality of Islam's message, its ability to resonate with people from all walks of life, ultimately uniting them under a shared belief system that prioritizes compassion, fairness, and respect for all.
But the prophecies weren't all rosy, right? I remember reading about some predictions that spoke of future trials and tribulations.
That's right. Alongside prophecies of peace and widespread acceptance, there are also predictions of future battles and conflicts, foreshadowing the challenges and hardships that the Muslim community would face.
Okay.
These prophecies serve as a reminder that the path of faith is not always smooth,
Right.
that trials and tribulations are an inevitable part of the journey.
It's like a reminder to prepare ourselves both spiritually and practically for the inevitable storms that life throws our way,
Yeah.
to stand firm in our faith, even amidst adversity, knowing that challenges are not meant to break us, but rather to refine us, to strengthen our resolve, and to deepen our reliance on Allah.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that adversity is not an indication of Allah's displeasure, but rather an opportunity for growth, for purification, and for drawing closer to Him. It's in those moments of hardship that our faith is truly tested. And it's through overcoming those challenges that we emerge stronger, more resilient, and more deeply connected to our Creator.
These stories of miracles and prophecies offer such a unique perspective. They challenge us to expand our understanding of what's possible, to acknowledge the existence of realities beyond our everyday perception, and to contemplate the mysteries of faith that lie just beyond the grasp of our limited human understanding.
They invite us to step outside the confines of our rational minds and embrace the possibility of the extraordinary,
Right.
to acknowledge the unseen forces at play in our lives, and to recognize the interconnectedness of all things, both seen and unseen.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Sahih al-Bukhari, Book 56, what key takeaways would you say stand out the most?
I think this book, with its collection of hadiths, these Echoes of Ihsan, offers us a multifaceted portrait of the Prophet Muhammad, his teachings, and the early Muslim community. We've seen how the text emphasizes clear boundaries between faiths, highlighting the importance of maintaining the purity of Islamic practices while simultaneously acknowledging the shared lineage of believers.
We've been moved by stories of Allah's boundless mercy and forgiveness, reminded that even in our darkest moments, sincere repentance can pave the way to redemption. We've been inspired by glimpses into the Prophet's life, witnessing his humility, his compassion, and his practical wisdom. And we've been challenged to expand our understanding of what's possible through the extraordinary accounts of miracles and prophecies.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has.
These hadiths aren't just historical artifacts, they're living sources of wisdom and guidance, offering timeless lessons that we can apply to our lives today. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, these stories can serve as guideposts, reminding us of the values we should strive to embody: compassion, humility, justice, unwavering faith, and a deep connection to the divine.
And perhaps the most important takeaway is the realization that the path of Ihsan, the path of excellence and beauty and faith, is not a destination, but a journey. A continuous process of learning, growing, and striving to align our hearts and actions with the will of Allah.
Beautifully said. And as we conclude our exploration of this fascinating book, I'd like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question inspired by one of the hadiths we discussed. The story of the man who was forgiven despite burning his own body raises an important question. What does it truly mean to fear God? How do we balance seeking forgiveness with taking responsibility for the consequences of our actions?
That's a powerful question to ponder. It challenges us to go beyond surface-level understanding and to delve into the deeper nuances of faith, to contemplate the delicate balance between seeking forgiveness and acknowledging the impact of our choices.
And we encourage our listeners to continue exploring Sahih al-Bukhari and other Islamic texts, delving into their rich tapestry of stories, wisdom, and guidance. These texts offer a wealth of knowledge and inspiration waiting to be uncovered and applied to our lives. So keep seeking, keep reflecting, and keep the echoes of Ihsan alive in your hearts. Until next time, may peace and blessings be upon you.